Let's go and paint the moon with some watercolor paints. We're going to start off with a circular base, and I'm using the top of a water bottle, or you could maybe use the top of a jar or something along those lines. After you have that down, you can either keep that in place and paint around it, or you can go and remove it and paint around it. I found that putting it back in place and painting around it helped to go and keep some of the paint from going under, but a small amount did end up going under it. Now I'm using some blue that is on the outer portion of this. I'm starting off with a lighter blue, and then I'm stacking some darker blue on top of it. As for the base layer here, after that has been done, and I did again get a little bit of paint that was in here, and if you do get watercolor paint on a surface that you do not want it on, you can go and take a brush, use a circular motion with it, and remove a good amount of the paint before it fully dries. Wipe it away with a dry and also clean paper towel, and most of the staining or the paint is gone. Now, for the inner portion here, I did end up using some of the blue that was from the outer portion to go and pull it in to create a bit of a shadow. And I also used some of the blue that was still on my brush to go and create these divoted areas along with also shadows of the moon. It's a good idea while you're doing this to have a reference up, and also to not to go too intense with a lot of the colors that you're using. I wanted to use a very light blue base and then start to slowly add some gray. And with watercolors, what you want to do is you want to stack colors, so you want to start off with a lighter color and just progressively get a little bit darker. While I was adding these colors as well too, I still had some of the blue that was mixed with this gray just to go and keep a lot of the tones that were still here. I created some of these circles too, along with also used the gray for some of the darker divots that were in the moon. Before this layer fully dried, I took my brush after it was cleaned off, and I made these little lines that extended downwards. If you look at a picture of the moon, you can see a couple different areas that have craters, and it looks like it has lines that are extending from it. I went back to the center of here, painted a very light circle to go and create a crater, along with also painted some more of these circles as well, just to give the moon some more craters and some more depth like the moon normally typically would have. I also did go and paint some little circular gray spots just to make it look like there were some indented areas on the moon that were a bit deeper. I went back over this with a darker blue, waited for that to dry just a small amount, and I also created some more little tiny craters with this and some more circular areas. Now that the inner portion is drying, you can go and wet the outer portion, and you can add some darker colors. Now I am adding a darker blue starting off, and I'm going to go and just slowly branch that out. Again, watercolors is really about stacking colors on top of the next, so you start off with a lighter color and you progressively move on to some of the darker colors. In spreading out this darker blue, I went and I added an even darker blue on top of it, continued to stack everything, and pulled the colors as I went. Now I'm just going and putting some darker blue that is mixed with a bit of purple, and this is going to give some more shadow to these different areas. And the darkest color that I did end up using, which I used a very small amount of it, is I used some black that was also mixed with some blue. Now this is the darkest tone that I did end up using, and I spread this pretty evenly with a lot of the blues, but I didn't use a bunch of this. The last few finishing touches to this painting were just a small amount more of these craters on the bottom portion, and after it dried, here is what the painting looks like. Thank you all so much for watching. You can find more tutorials on my profile.